The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
I'm not ready. No, I'm kidding. Hi, everyone. Welcome into the Wrestling to the Max 205 Live and Mixed Match Challenge review. My name is Harry Broadhurst. I am your host. Joining me now, as per usual, the third man in these broadcasts, Brandon Biskobing.
Hey.
Unfortunately, Liz Puglisi is unable to be with us tonight. Hopefully, she will be back with us for next week's episode. We'll see what happens. All the same. Before we get started, Brandon, I want to send a quick shout-out.
Okay.
As of the time of recording here, in case people are wondering behind the scenes over at the W2M Network, it is currently 12:32 a.m. on the East Coast. So, technically speaking, it is now February 14th on the East Coast. Therefore, we here at the 205 Live and Mixed Match Challenge Live. I guess technically it's live, even if it doesn't say live in the title. Whatever. We want to send out a happy birthday shout-out to our buddy James Foncannon, a.k.a. Fonty.
And a happy birthday to you, Harry.
Oh, jeez. Way to embarrass me.
And happy birthday, or happy Valentine's Day to everyone else out there.
Including Tori, although she's probably not going to listen to us.
No, she probably... I mean, if I gave her the link, I'm sure she would.
Happy
all the
birthday,
same.
Harry.
That's our producer, Sean Garmer. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
And to Fonty as well. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day, people. So enjoy your loving festivities while listening to these two dudes.
Yeah, I got a funny feeling this might be our lowest listened to episode ever. Just going to be busy doing other stuff.
We just lost about our whole audience in the first 5 minutes.
Yes, I came to listen to 205 Live, you some bitches. We're getting there. Relax. Shall we get into 205 Live, Brandon?
Let's do it.
All right, real quick, if you want to have information on this or any other presentation of the W2M Network podcast families, check them out on Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, online at YouTube. I mean, there's a bunch of other various podcast devices you can use in order to listen to us. As well, you can find us online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, shout out to 411 Mania for posting last week's episodes of both the SmackDown Live and the 205 Live review. That's probably not happening this week.
Probably not.
That being said, let's go ahead and get into it here. We start, as per usual, with 205 Live. A recap of the goings-on in the tournament thus far kicks us off, as the first four men to advance to the second round are TJP Perkins, Cedric Alexander, Kalisto, and the surprise fourth person to advance thus far is NXT's own Roderick Strong. We have an opportunity for another oddity to advance in the tournament tonight on the 205 Live episode, as our opening contest, scheduled for one fall, is Akira Tozawa taking on the 205 Live debuting Mark Andrews. Before we get to the match itself, we see a backstage interview with Mandrews, and he talks about the fact that he gets an opportunity to showcase what he can do tonight, to showcase what the UK division is all about, and the opportunity to look forward to challenging for the Cruiserweight title on the grand stage of WrestleMania. The match itself follows, and do you want to discuss anything specific about the match, or do you just want to go right into the finish here? Because this is one I'm going to highly recommend that our listeners check out, because this is a really good match.
Well, I mean, I'll just say, overall for this show, this was a very good difference in styles between the two matches that occurred on 205 Live this week. This was a very good match, very high-flying match, and both of these guys brought their A-games, put it all out there. Great match. Like Harry said, definitely recommended.
In the end, even though I don't want to give away the result for this match, so that way people are more inclined to watch it. We see our second big upset in the tournament, Brandon, as after hitting after hitting a corkscrew kick after rolling out of the way of a Mark Andrews shooting star attempt, Tozawa looks for La Magistral, but instead, in the process of diving over, Andrews captures the head and neck, hooks the hands, and scores the 3 count to take down Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, I mean,
to be entirely honest with you, this stunned me. I had Akira Tozawa going really deep in this tournament.
This stunned me too, and honestly, it disappointed me in more ways than one. The way they handled it with him kind of rolling him up and it being a surprise, it allows for Tozawa to rebound from this and allows for maybe a rematch between these two moving forward. But I don't like how, once again, in spite of them trying to basically reboot 205, they're basically bringing in all these new guys and basically saying to the guys that started this whole division, were in the Cruiserweight Classic from the beginning, basically saying, screw you guys go get pushed to the wayside, and we're going to bring these new guys in to try to make a quick push on these guys to try to see if they catch on, instead of actually trying to give the guys that built this division an extended opportunity.
I mean, I guess I kind of see what you're saying there, but in some instances it works out for the best when you have these kind of matches here and you have these kind of upsets here. Like, I feel like Roderick Strong upsetting Hideo Itami makes sense because I feel like there's still a lot more story to come there, like we talked about last week.
Well, and at least in that scenario, it's two guys that have been brought into the division. That one doesn't sting as much as this one does to me.
The reason you're upset about this one is probably because Tozawa was a Cruiserweight original. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic tournament. Yeah. That being said, though, I think, like you said, with the way that the decision went down here, you're protecting Tozawa as well.
Yes. That's the way that I'm okay with it. I'm still not happy about it because I would have liked to have seen Tozawa get pushed further and get more than a week of a title run. But, you know,
I don't think we've seen Tozawa at his best yet. I don't think Tozawa's a natural babyface. People who have seen his Dragon Gate stuff know what I'm talking about here. He is an absolute dick heel when necessary, and it's really good. Oh. And frankly, I could see him getting knocked out of the tournament as early as he was, being kind of the catalyst for that to come forth in the future.
I could see that. That could be interesting, but at the same time, with how over he's been as a babyface, kind of like how Gallagher has kind of been, you know, shoved to the side since he's gone heel, I don't think in the WWE, with how their fans react to things, it would work as well as it would in an indie promotion.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the way that this match went down, the fact that we saw the fact that we saw Andrews catch a quick one with the La Magistral counter, I think that tells me that we're not done with this bit either.
Yeah.
You got to think, Brandon, just because we're still going to have extra matches going forward in this tournament, there's still going to be television time between those matches to fill on these shows as well. They have the 2-match formula right now.
Not necessarily, because until the semis, you know, you could have 2 matches in each show because, I mean, think about it, especially with Mixed Match, they're only putting 2 matches. And even before Mixed Match, they were really only putting 2, maybe 3 matches at most on each week.
But my point being is once we get past the first round here, they're still going to have weeks to get to WrestleMania afterwards, after they finish the first round up next week, that I could see them using the undercard for 205 Live in addition to having the tournament matches be the main event. So I could see them using the undercard to kind of establish more storylines for 205 Live going forward as well, beyond the whole title ramifications.
They would have enough weeks to extend that out with 1 match a week?
2 matches. You could still do 2 matches a week, but just have one of them be a tournament match and one of them be a.
No, but that's what I'm saying. 1 tournament match a week.
Yeah, because you would have the 2 weeks of the quarterfinals and then 1 week of semifinals.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Because there's only going to be, after next week here, there's only going to be 5 matches left in the tournament.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me do the math here.
No, there will be 6.
There will be, 6 matches left in the tournament. So, okay, maybe you might have to worry about the timing in regards to getting other people on. I mean, there's other ways to tell these stories, too. There's still a WrestleMania pre-show as well where they could have stuff get developed as well.
True.
And some of these guys may or may not end up in the Andre Memorial as well if said Battle Royal happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Backstage, we see an interview with Jack Gallagher. He is interrupted by Drake Maverick, the former Rockstar Spud. And Maverick tells Gallagher that as of next week, he needs to have proper wrestling attire and he needs to get his together. I mean, he doesn't use those exact words, but the intention is there.
Yep.
Your thoughts on the interactions thus far with Maverick and the talent of the Cruiserweight division?
I kind of like it because Maverick is basically calling out all of the guys who have turned heel since the Cruiserweight Classic and have become these, shells of themselves as a result. And he's basically saying, like you said, get your you-know-whats together and, let's, go back to what you were that made you such a success earlier on in 205 Live.
Our main event, technically before we get to the main event, there is an announcement for the other match for next week, as it will be Arya Daivari taking on Buddy Murphy. For those of you collectively wondering, who? Would Mr. Alexa Bliss be a proper description?
Yes.
Probably not. Known as the best kept secret in NXT, Murphy used to be one half of the tag team champions with Wesley Blake in NXT as well, with Alexa Bliss as their manager. He is also actually dating Alexa Bliss, though that has never been acknowledged on WWE television. They then do a video package for Buddy Murphy, who is very, very Australian.
Yeah.
Good grief, that accent. I feel like if Liz were here, she'd be going gaga for it because she has the foreign accent. We miss you, Liz. Anywho.
Oh, do you now, Liz?
Our main event, scheduled for one fall. Is the other first-round matchup in the Cruiserweight title tournament as former friends, maybe current friends, although not after this match they're not.
No.
Former tag team partners, maybe. No, not after this match they're not. Drew Gulak takes on Tony Nese here, and holy hell, Drew Gulak is channeling his inner Bob Backlund. I haven't seen somebody snap like that since Backlund did. I mean, maybe Festus, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Like once the bell rang?
Yep.
Gulak went full crazy person at the end of this match, and it was glorious.
It's kind of funny how we were talking about, a couple of weeks ago, before everything went down, how maybe Nese would be the one to turn face, or maybe Nese would be the one to, completely snap, but, now it's the other way around.
I don't know how they managed to do it, too. They completely managed, despite the size differential, they completely managed to change the heel-face dynamic in this match, too.
Yeah.
I really want this to continue going forward because this match was fantastic, and I think that if they were to have the time to actually develop the story rather than just trying to tell it on the fly like they had to tonight for the tournament, these two guys right here could be putting on some match of the year type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because they beat the snuffleupagus out of each other for just over 16 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the most underrated man in the Cruiserweight division, in my opinion, and I stand by that, Drew Gulak advances to the second round, putting on the Gulak, the body scissor dragon sleeper, and instead of tap out, he advances via pass out.
Mm-hmm.
as Tony Nese is unable to answer the referee's arm drop attempt, and Gulak moves on to the second round of the Cruiserweight title tournament.
And not only that, but he kept it on for a few seconds afterwards.
I want Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak in the title tournament final at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
If these performances are any indication from what we've seen in this tournament so far, I want Alexander, I want Gulak.
Yep.
Or at the very least, I want Gulak and Mustafa Ali to beat the dog out of each other in a semifinal match.
That would also be interesting because it would be a big culmination of their almost year-long feud between,
let's not forget that they had a really good 2 out of 3 falls match on 205 Live a couple of months ago.
That's also true.
So this is definitely something that we could see expanded upon going forward. I'm sorry, you had something else to say about that?
Well, about the match, I was just going to say that, like I mentioned before, this was the kind of counter to the very high-flying match between Tozawa and Mandrews. This was, the very much ground and pound style that these two implement, but it worked. Some fans, some casual fans who only think of the cruiserweights purely on the high flying level may not understand it, but this match works. And it's nice seeing these two put on a good match and them focusing on it and, them actually going out there and doing a good job with it.
I'm going to make a very bold statement right now.
Okay.
And Liz and I have talked about this back before you joined us as a full-time participant here. I would make the argument that Drew Gulak is the best thing going in the cruiserweight division.
I may not say best thing, but one of the best things going, definitely.
There's no doubt in my mind he is the best thing going in the cruiserweight division. There is nobody in this division that blends the character work, the in-ring ability, and the mic skills that Gulak has.
The one thing I will say, though, especially with the rumors coming out about how 205 is being run moving forward, it's going to be a little disappointing not seeing the character work with him, with the whole Drewtopia and, the PowerPoint presentations and all of that.
I still think we get that going forward, though. I think you have to wait till we get through the title tournament in order to be able to get back to more storyline-based progression as well. But I don't think that the PowerPoint presentations and the Drewtopia of a better 205 Live goes away.
Okay.
I really don't, and I think that's one of the more entertaining aspects, and it was kind of stifled when he was part of the Zoe train, and now that Enzo is gone, he can go back to having that kind of character development that, in my opinion, made him stand out so much once 205 Live originally launched in the first place.
That's true.
All right, Brandon, that officially wraps us up for this week's episode of 205 Live. Again, next week on the show, it is Jack Gallagher versus Mustafa Ali, and Arya Daivari taking on the debuting Buddy Murphy. Scale of 1 to 10, where do you fall on tonight's episode?
Well, before I go into my scale, let me just say one thing. You saw it, I did not, but, Buddy Murphy must have lost a ton of weight to get into 205.
The scale on the video package that they did for Murphy with an official weigh-in done at the Performance Center with Drake Maverick in attendance said that Murphy was 204.4 pounds.
Okay.
Whether or not that scale was gimmicked is neither here nor there. I assume it wasn't, but you never know. I mean, look at a couple of the guys that participated in the Cruiserweight Classic who have now gone on to become bigger guys again, such as Fabian Eichner down in NXT.
True.
You take one look at Fabian Eichner, you're not going to buy that he's under 205 either, but here we are.
True. And, I mean, they did the whole thing with apparently Cedric lost a lot of weight going into the Cruiserweight Classic. So, it could certainly be believable. When I heard that he was announced, I automatically looked at the Wikipedia page and it said he was like 224 or 220 something. So I was
with all due respect to Wikipedia, not exactly a reliable resource.
I understand that, but,
Maybe they could do like the Crash Holly gimmick, or not the Crash Holly, the Matt Hardy gimmick with him, where he has to make weight before all of his matches. I think that would be kind of.
That was
He could be Mattitude.
Yep.
Needs a little MFer. I wonder what Shannon Moore. No, I don't. Take that back. Not putting that into the universe. Stay away, Shannon. All right, scale of 1 to 10 for tonight's episode of 205 Live.
I'll give it a 7.5. It was a solid.
Oh, go ahead.
It was a solid. It was a solid 205. They had a decent. They had 2 very good matches tonight. Some decent promos in the back, and it was a solid 205.
I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than you did. I'm going to give it an 8.
All right.
In my opinion, this was the best WWE show of the week. And this is despite a really good Raw and a, by and large, relatively strong SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, SmackDown wasn't bad. It was just convoluted, as we talked about during the SmackDown Live review, which you can listen to on many of these same podcast affiliates here on the W2M network. So, one-word review. What one word would you use to describe tonight's episode of 205 Live?
I
think I know the word that applies here. May I?
Sure.
Diversity.
Yes. That's a great word.
Because you had the high-flying exchange between Andrews and Tozawa, and then you had the mat-based kicking contest between Gulak and Nese.
Yep. I would completely agree with that.
That's going to move us into the Mixed Match Challenge, Brandon.
Oh, lovely.
All right. First of all, let me state for the record that Lana is the best. Lana number 1. Thank you. Anywho. Our Mixed Match Challenge match is scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
I'm going to beat this joke into the ground, and I don't care who complains. Anyway, sees the husband-wife team, take 2, of Rusev and Lana. I mean, it is Rusev Day. Taking on Bayley and Elias. And I will say this right now, if Bayley's partner was who they originally voted to be Bayley's partner, Rusev and Lana would have gotten murdered.
Yep.
Get well soon, Joe. We miss you.
Yep.
Bayley decides to play a guitar with Elias. Can't tell if she's actually playing. If she is, awesome. If not, it sure sounded like it. Bravo, A for effort.
Yep.
The match itself, we see Elias taped up after Braun Strowman broke a bass guitar. Actually, it looked more like a cello, whatever he...
It was a stand-up bass.
It looked like a cello, at least to me. All the same, that gigantic guitar, whatever, string instrument got smashed over Elias, so he comes into this match with tape ribs. I feel like they should have done the Strowman thing next week rather than having it right before his mixed match. Anyway. So the match itself is kind of your basic mixed tag team action in this tournament, but this is where it gets interesting. I know you're about to complain about this, so let's go ahead and talk about it here. The finish sees Elias and Rusev get into kind of a little bit of a brawl. They tumble out the ropes through the floor, but in the meantime, the distraction of Elias and Rusev getting into it allows Lana to get out of a superplex attempt, drive Bayley headfirst into the top turnbuckles, and then pin her for a 3 count in Lana's first victory in the WWE.
I know this isn't a video podcast, but I am shaking my head right now.
Go ahead.
First off, let me start from the beginning, outside of the ending. This match, I know I'm thinking way too far into this. It's pro wrestling, I know, and it's supposed to be a fun, nobody's supposed to care about this.
It's a work.
Yes, I know this. But Lana is absolutely god-awful in the ring. So why didn't and especially in the format that WWE has, where you can't have, any interference one way or the other. Why didn't Elias just simply stand back and let Bayley do all the work and just completely dominate Lana? And Rusev wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. That's the first thing. Secondly, even notwithstanding that, the finish makes absolutely no sense. Like I just said, Lana absolutely stinks. So, and not to mention, like I just said, Rusev can't do anything to Bayley, or else he gets disqualified. So why is Bayley being distracted over what Rusev and Elias are doing out, like on the other side of the ring and going outside of the ring? She should not care whatsoever. It does not make any sense.
Lana is the best. Lana number one.
And this is why Mixed Match Challenge is a complete and utter joke.
You're reading too much into this here. This was a nice moment for Lana for her to get her first win in the company.
I get
it's not like all right, real quick here, Brent. It's not like Bayley's done anything of note recently anyway.
Well, I'm also disappointed in that as well.
That's beside the point here. Who would you rather have take the fall in this match, Bayley or Elias, if they're going to have the husband-wife team of Rusev and Lana move on?
Honestly, Elias, because at least there's a storyline reasoning behind it.
I completely disagree with that because you got to keep Elias ready to go for the Elimination Chamber in a week and a half.
But at least the excuse could be, oh, he was injured because of the beating that he took by Braun Strowman the night before.
Braun.
Exactly.
Sorry, any reason to brawn is a good reason to brawn.
Yes, precisely.
I get where you're coming from here, but at the same time, it's not like Bayley has been irrelevant. Do I like that? No. And especially after Bayley got a huge win on Raw last night.
I'll agree with that, but and I mean, if you're trying to, I mean, I get that these may or may not, probably, hopefully, do not have any relevance in storylines moving forward, but if they do, if you want to make Bayley basically the female Baron Corbin, where she makes stupid decisions time and time again, then okay, this makes complete sense. But unless you are doing that, then it makes no sense whatsoever.
Can I also point out the fact that this is one of the few teams that we've actually seen dissension between as well, in Elias and Bayley, and that might be why they didn't get along during the course of this match?
I'll give you that. I mean, that whole thing did lead up to what happened, but this is the problem that I have with this whole entire tournament in terms of purely, trying, I get that WWE does not care and they, flaunt the fact that it's a work now and, they don't care about having any sort of realism whatsoever. But, in this whole match type, they're, they make these rules because they don't want to have any intergender stuff. Yet, when it suits them, they make their performers look like complete and utter idiots for basically either disregarding or not understanding said rules.
I'm going to say that I think you're reading too much into this. I think the Mixed Match Challenge is kind of its own animal, and that it's not real.
I completely get this, and this is why I do not care about it, is because I know it's basically just a complete joke. It's just a test run, which the WWE are being idiots for using this as the test run for Facebook Live, because anyone with half of common sense who actually wants any sort of, relevance to what they're watching is just going to tune out automatically. It just doesn't work. Mixed tag team matches just do not work in WWE situations.
I think I agree with that as long as they're not going to relax their stance on intergender wrestling.
I don't necessarily say relax their stance so much as like you have to make it one way or the other. Either make it either keep the rules as is, and then the women have a complete advantage, and the men can just basically sit back and relax and let them do all the work. One man can stand back and let them do all the work while the other one is panicking. Or basically change it to what we were talking about before, with it being either a tornado tag or it being lucha style, where if someone rolls out, the other one automatically comes in and they automatically switch.
Well, we kind of talked about that when we originally started reviewing this show too, though. Yeah. I mean, Mixed Match Challenge to me is kind of an it is what it is situation. You get what you're going to get with this here. Like you said, it is a way to look into possibly doing more stuff on live stream here. And I will say this much. I think they need to work on fixing the streams as well, because I don't know about you, but I get some really bad buffering issues on occasion with these streams.
I mean, I haven't really paid attention to it nearly as much as you have, so I wouldn't know as much. But like I said, if they were really actually legitimately trying to make this as a new alternative or a new way to stream WWE, or use this as a pitch to sell, more WWE to Facebook, then this was a completely boneheaded decision by WWE, because there is a very, even smaller than, I don't know what the numbers are, but I would say that there is an even smaller niche audience that's looking for mixed tag team matches than there is even for cruiserweights. And those people that are looking for mixed tag team matches are going to tune out when they see the style of matches that WWE are putting on, especially with a bonehead decision like tonight.
Well, okay, boneheaded is your opinion. Some of us are actually okay with this here. And again, it has to do with, in my opinion, the fact that Elias and Bayley never really got along, so it makes sense that they wouldn't get along in regards to their match as well. Regardless, the one thing I will agree with you that you said there is that there are better places to find mixed tag team wrestling in regards to how it's done and how it's presented.
Exactly.
This is, like you said, though, and we've talked about this from the start with this here, it's a niche product. It is an attempt from the WWE to let their superstars have some fun. So, frankly, I'm okay with this presentation here. I'm not going to read too much into this. I'm going to give them a pass on some of the decisions that may end up bothering me in other situations.
I mean, I just like having consistency, and if I'm going to watch something, I'm actually going to want it to actually make sense. So, it's more of, the only reason why, I might have watched this one just because I like both Bayley and Elias, so I had a horse in the race, for this one. But the fact that it, especially considering I had a horse in the race and said horse made a boneheaded decision to lose, yeah, it's gonna annoy me a little bit. Like I said, if you're gonna have very stringent rules, then unless you're gonna make someone basically look to be unless your goal is to have someone look like a complete idiot, you don't have them completely disregard said rules.
And with that being said, we have to put a rating on this particular episode of the Mixed Match Challenge here. I'm going to go first with this one. I'm going to give it a 5.5. The match itself was nothing special, but I appreciate the character work. And as somebody who has been following the careers of Rusev and Lana since they debuted on the main roster, and as somebody who is a massive fan of Rusev, it is Rusev Day. It's a nice moment for me to see Lana get her first win in the WWE ring, even if it does come at the expense of Bayley. Brandon?
I'll give it a 3, and that's being generous and the only reason why I'm giving it that was because of the funny moments that we got pre-match between Bayley and Elias being in the ring, and then the whole Rusev Day with the Lana chant and everything. But in terms of the match, and I'll say it in the same way that you did, just reversed. With me being a huge fan of both Bayley and Elias since they've been in NXT since day one, the fact that they have reduced Bayley to making such a boneheaded decision, it hurts me immensely that, this is where Bayley has fallen to.
No need to do a one-word review for the show. It's only one match. It seems kind of counterproductive to do so. Therefore, where can people find you online and on other shows, Brandon?
They can find me online on Twitter at Bisco_GothamSN. And they can find me on the kickoff with you and Eric and Jason. Yes, I was getting to Jason. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday we will do our year-end review and year-end awards. And then Jason and I, at some point, will start a fantasy football podcast. And then you and I will be starting How the War Was Won about the Monday Night Wars at some point.
Like he said, we do the SmackDown and 205 Live reviews here for W2M, obviously. We do the Kickoff, which is our weekly football show, although we will be going into off-season mode following next week's year-end awards show. You can find me on the Raw Reaction every Monday night at 11:30 with Tony Acero and Andrew Ballas. You can find me on Wrestling Unwrapped with Patrick Tetza. Traditionally, Liz Puglisi joins us for these W2M SmackDown Live and 205 Live reviews as well, but unfortunately not with us this week. Hopefully she'll be back with us next week. So for our executive producer, Sean Garmer, our co-hostess with the mostest, who is not with us today, Liz Puglisi, Brandon Biskobing, I'm Harry Broadhurst, thanking you for listening to the W2M Network, Wrestling to the Max 205 Live and Mixed Match Challenge review here on the W2M Network. You can find us online at www.w2mnet.com. And in addition, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, YouTube, you name it. You can find us there. Just search for W2M Network. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next Tuesday night.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.